Hey everybody, welcome to our September edition of the Trust Tech Chat, or TTCs, as we like to call them. We're having just a kind of a revamp, so we're doing a couple of new things. Welcome for y'all to comment, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But in the meantime, we're just going to get into it. We're going to take a very casual approach. The topic for this month are aggregators. And what do we mean when we say that? Spencer, what's your version? When we say aggregator, what do we mean around here?
Aggregator to me, and for what we mean around our office, is a provider that basically will take multiple services and put them on one bill, whether it's internet and UCAS or phone system, hosted phone system, whether it's, like I said, a voice circuit, uh, just one provider handling multiple services, and you get one bill. It's just kind of pushing everything down the same funnel pipe. Not
Yeah,
literally the same
yeah,
pipe, but
yeah. Well, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's coming down the
yeah,
same pipe.
yeah.
They're reselling somebody else's. Brian, what's your take on it? You're newer to the scene. We've talked about it a little bit. What is your idea when we say aggregator? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Well, when I was looking at it, I didn't have an opinion, so I went and Google searched, and took a look at it from that perspective, and I think the simplification and how you can apply it with combining, into a simpler, form or is it's appealing because you can have, like you said, that one bill, that one place where you can go and get access to everything. And I think that's a perspective of why it's important or how it's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's not even a billing perspective as well. It's a method of troubleshooting. And
Hmm.
if you have multiple lines of service with a provider, let's just say, let's use AT&T as an example. AT&T can provide internet and phone, but if you have a backup connection, you're typically going to have it from a different provider. So now you're already having to call somebody else. If you're doing your UCAS with somebody different, now that's another person you're going to have to call. So we're going to have to call one provider for the fiber, one provider for the coax, one provider for the UCAS, another provider for our O365, another
Wireless.
wireless. Yeah, absolutely. Your cybersecurity. There's so many different avenues that you um, have to call, and a lot of times we do that for our customers, but having that single, we don't use the phrase throat to choke anymore. We try to use a nicer phrase, but that
I do.
single, yeah, you do for sure. But the single back to pat, um, or at least that one phone call, that we've had a lot of, our customers have had a lot of success moving over to aggregators over the last couple of years. And we've certainly enjoyed some of those benefits as well, just from the ease of work.
Makes it
Spencer,
easier for
you
Go
got it,
ahead. Go
Brian?
ahead, bro.
What you got?
it just makes it easier for them to be able to just call one place and
Yeah.
get all their resolutions, and they don't have to guess which person they're going to have to call or who they're going to get up the line. So it's very
And
helpful
and,
in
and
that
I'll say,
sense.
I can't speak for every company that does what we do, but for us, I mean, we're still that call that we still prefer our customers call us, and then but that gives us one place to call now, and we still play that middleman a lot, here at Trust. So it our customers have kind of experienced it. So sometimes for our customers, it is kind of the one bill, uh, because they're still paying a bill directly from whatever provider they're using for the most part. Um, but as far as that phone call, it comes to us, or they can go straight to them, and it just simplifies a lot of things.
Well,
There's go ahead.
let's chase that rabbit. When you say it simplifies a lot of things, put that in a perspective of a multi-site customer.
Well, that's what I was about to give an example. So,
Yeah.
let's say we've got a bank that's got a location in Shreveport, one in Bossier, one in Texarkana, and then they got one out in Delhi, Louisiana, or some little small town. Maybe forgive me for anyone that lives in Delhi. Uh,
They know it.
if you got a little small town,
Let's hope
you,
so.
you're not gonna a lot of the major providers maybe can't get there. So they've got a little local provider. So what one of these aggregator companies can do is you're still getting that service from that local provider, but they will initiate that contract. And
Hmm.
so now that service is still serviced by them, but you pay that aggregator instead. So now you, like you said, when it comes down to troubleshooting, you got an issue there. You don't have to call that local provider. You call that aggregator or us, and we'll get in contact with the aggregator. Um, and I was gonna say, it just kind of simplifies things. You don't have to say, well, I know in this location they've got. I don't want to throw out the names here, but we got this cable provider here. Over there, they got that cable provider. I'm just gonna call these guys and they'll spin up whatever service I need in these locations. And
Hmm.
now I pay the one bill, and everything is still multifaceted as far as I'm not like you said. What you don't want to do is have you know the three-letter company that you mentioned earlier as your primary, and then now you got a backup with another provider that's using that same backbone. You want to get something different, um, and then maybe you don't want to pay those multiple bills. I call this aggregator and get it all spun up.
Yeah,
Or call us, and
absolutely.
we'll get you in contact with them. And there's many different aggregators out there.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is when you talk about those multi-site customers, the the site contact may know the provider, but 9 times out of 10, the decision maker at the HQ, they don't know. You just talked about different cities in Louisiana. We've got customers
Oh
who
yeah,
have different locations in different states, and so they may have zero clue as to what type of
who's even
provider
there?
is out there, and just that single point of reference speeds the process along tenfold sometimes. And the other thing that we've also seen is um, pricing. A lot of times, because you're kind of bulk buying for multi-site customers, and even single site, they can get a lot more aggressive pricing from some of the major providers. So you actually get a better deal going through this than going to the carrier directly. And we've had a lot of customers benefit from that aspect. It's a fun new way to kind of look at it. These companies are
Yeah, you're
not
you're
new.
you're
They've
right.
been around for a while, but it's a new concept for a lot of customers.
That's something I didn't think about, Mac. Like what you're saying, like let's say you got a customer with 5 locations. They got a different provider in all 5 locations because that's who's there locally. That local, like you said, that local provider in each one just sees this as a maybe potentially a small customer. But that aggregator that now has all 5, they will offer. Okay, I'll offer you this price because we got all 5. So yeah, I can see that. That's something I hadn't even thought of, but that is correct.
One of the other aspects of it that we haven't talked about yet is single pane of glass administration. A
Hmm.
lot of times, an aggregator will have a single portal. And so that customer can log into that one portal and see health, see status of all their different circuits across the board, all their different products. So one of the stories with a customer who has probably 30, 40 locations through an aggregator, one of their favorite things to tell us is we'll get a status report from our aggregator before our firewall even tells us there's an issue. We get that email before we get a firewall email. And that's a testimony right there to, you know,
Certainly.
not only are they opening up, you're notifying the customer, but they're already proactively opening up a trouble ticket with the underlying carrier.
Well, and let me talk about that a little bit. Go into that, and the reason for that, and now we're talking about right now what we're talking about mainly is like an internet circuit. Um,
Typically, yeah.
and so the reason for that is that provider normally would put their piece of equipment on that in that customer site, and then
Hmm.
they manage that equipment. And when there's an issue or whatever, they got to send a tech on site to manage the equipment. However, these aggregators, they're going to tell that provider, don't worry about putting that piece of equipment in. We're going to put our own piece of equipment in place, still using that provider's fiber, their glass, but they're going to put their own piece of equipment in. Now they are monitoring that, and most of these aggregators aren't as huge as some of these providers, so they can give you that TLC that you're looking for a lot of times, and they got a team monitoring this stuff. Um, because you know, sad to say, a lot of these providers, when they are the only one or one of two in an area, they don't have to be so nice. They don't have to be so fast and fixing stuff. Whereas this aggregator, they want this to stay up. They want this to work because they need your business.
So here's let's take that a step further. Here's the acronym of the day. Brian, we're going to put you in the hot seat. See if you know what this acronym is. NOC. NOC.
I can already tell you, I failed the hot seat. I do not know.
Oh, take a guess. Take a stab. In what we're talking about the people who would find that report. That is
Mm-hmm.
the NOC. So what do you think that could be?
Don't have a
Nothing.
clue.
Okay, cool.
Not even
So
close. Sorry.
NOC is Network Operations Center.
Okay.
So all the major carriers, they have their own. They have their NOCs where the information goes back to on the health of their overall network. But the aggregators also have a NOC. And those NOCs are watching the NOCs and they're watching all the hot spots and they're watching all the nodes and all that stuff in addition to the underlying carriers. So you've already got one NOC looking at another NOC and they're making sure the health of the overall network is good. So a lot of times when you do use an aggregator for multiple lines of service, they've got your primary, secondary, possibly even a third or tertiary, and then we've got SD-WAN to tie all those together. They already know there's an issue with one of the major providers. They can say, hey, we're seeing a lot of issues in this region of the United States. We're going to make sure the traffic is going over some of these secondary connections. We're going to proactively be opening up the trouble tickets. That's what that NOC does. They're the ones who are watching it and getting those reports 24/7, 365, monitoring those connections, opening up the trouble ticket with the underlying provider, and giving the customer a better overall experience. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about: is the best experience to put our customers in a safe, secure platform so that they can make sure that their image, their atmosphere is taken care of. Because a lot of times in 2024, if you don't have any type of internet service, then you almost have to go home. Everything we work
Well,
with
you
is cloud
you
based,
don't you don't have a business if you don't have internet.
and a lot of times, yeah,
I mean, unless you're cutting yards or something like that, and then
Yeah.
even still,
yeah. I mean, they've got to have a way to do invoicing. They've got to have a way
yep.
to, track
I
all that
thought
kind
I
of
thought
stuff.
about that as I said it. Our yard guys, they invoice us,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. It's
be
everything is
online.
connected. So, well, cool. I think that's kind of wrapping it up. Does anybody have any final thoughts on our
Well,
topic this month of aggregators?
I'm going to say one thing, another benefit of it, and I said something about it before. I'm going to go into a little more detail on it. That piece of equipment
Mm-hmm.
that is put there by the aggregator, I will say the provider. We all know at some point, sometimes this equipment fails.
Mm.
Um, and getting that provider to admit that equipment has failed and come out and change that equipment is like pulling teeth most of the time. In our experience with multiple different aggregators now, in the instance when something like that has happened, they've been pretty quick to come out and at least look at it,
Mm-hmm.
and if not even replace. Um, we've had a couple that allow us to keep a spare one on hand for a customer. That way, in case there isn't a damage to it for whatever reason, we'll send a tech on site and swap it out for them, and they'll get it up and running the same day. We'll just plug a laptop up to it and let them log in with us and reconfigure it, and boom, we get a customer back up same day. They just kind of keep one on standby. Not all. I'm not gonna say all aggregators allow that,
Mm-hmm.
but a couple that we've dealt with have, um, and that's come in handy. Like I said, it's better to have it and not need it than to be down for a week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
We've
that's just
seen some pretty rough situations like that before.
It
Well,
just
cool.
makes it easier for you to do business. I mean, in hit
and
response times.
and it doesn't. That's the big thing. Everybody says, well, let's not talk about price, but I mean, price is huge, and most of the time, it doesn't cost you any more to go through one of these
Mm-hmm.
aggregators.
And sometimes less.
So, and
So
sometimes less.
cool. All
So,
right. Well, good stuff. Brian, any closing comments?
Yeah, when you were talking about the knock, I may not have understood the acronym, but I can apply it to the business, right? And ultimately, that's what you're looking to do is figure out how this is going to make your business better, and having someone else with another set of eyes that can actually mediate where the problem is, identify it and fix it for you. Is I mean, it's just another little piece of that step to get to a resolution quicker and more efficiently. And that's ultimately, I think, one of their biggest advantages.
Absolutely.
And Mac, I want to touch on, why did we even make this a topic of conversation today? And I think the reason for that is we went back and forth the other day about, updating our website and putting things on there and our marketing and our campaigns and whatnot. And the word aggregator kept coming up. And that's what we realized, well, hey, a lot of people don't know what an aggregator is. And
Hmm.
that's the point of this conversation today, is for the people that have maybe never heard that before, just trying to put that word out there, put that name out there, because it is a thing. And it's a growing thing, and it's been around for a while. And I just think it's going to keep getting stronger and stronger, and more aggregators are going to start popping up. Um, and so if you've never heard of it or you want to know more about it, reach out to us.
Absolutely, and that's a perfect segue. Really, what we're doing with kind of reforming these TTCs is just pick a topic. We're going to talk about it. Hopefully, shed some light on it. We're hoping to go live with these as we come up. So, if you do see this and whatever platform you see it on, drop a comment with a topic that you're interested in. This is a very deep and wide industry, and for the most part, a lot of our customers have no idea some of these things exist until we educate them. And this is our hopefully our new education platform. So thanks everyone for giving us a few minutes of your time today. Give us some feedback, what you think of the new format, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right. Have a good one.